Hey everybody, my name is Jake. This is my channel Wishlist, and what you are about to watch, maybe some of, is almost an hour and a half long, and it's possibly one of the most incredible videos that I have ever posted. I just got done editing the majority of it, and I wanted to add an intro to explain what it is. A lot of the videos that are part of this video have never been posted on this channel. I made them originally as updates to send to my uncle John, Cichlid Heaven is his channel. And I made these videos as I was building my fish room out and going along the beginning of my fish keeping journey. And so I made these videos just to kind of update him of my progress, and I posted them on a different channel. And I got the idea today to do a compilation video and put all of the updates that I've ever made on my fish room together, just to be able to show an entire fish keeping journey. I know not everybody is going to want to watch an hour and a half of this, but if you do, thank you, you're amazing. I do donate all of the money that this channel makes to Project Piaba, so that amount of watch time is going to help a lot. But I just thought it was really cool looking at these videos to just see the full journey. There's a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting choices that I made along the way that I'm questioning now why I did them. There's also some things that you'll see fish kind of come and go. And it kind of makes me sad because it makes me think, man, I've screwed up a lot of times because I loved that fish and I can't believe I lost it. And the number of times I have said that is way too many, and it's just a journey, I guess. I discovered fish that I was like, yeah, this is just too difficult for me to keep right now, and lost some fish along the way that I loved. And I miss those those animals, and I miss keeping them. But it was just all part of me learning, and so I hope that you'll forgive me for that. If you notice that what happened to that beautiful pleco, well, he died, and I learned a lesson, and I feel bad that a fish had to die to learn that lesson. But it's just still fascinating to see the full basement get built out from one tank. Actually, it doesn't go from one tank. I already had a few tanks when I started making the videos, just to kind of see the progression of it. So it's really fascinating. It's fascinating to see the videos themselves, just kind of my comfort level in front of a camera, talking to you guys versus just staring at this awkward black rectangle and not knowing how to talk to it. Although I'm arguably still learning how to do that. Also, the volume, the audio changes. Audio has been the hardest thing for me because I feel like my basement has gotten louder the more tanks that I've added, and so I've had to do things to get the audio right so that you can hear me well, and sometimes it comes across a little awkward, and I haven't gotten it very well yet. I feel like at the beginning, just shooting with my phone, the audio wasn't too bad. I was kind of surprised by how it sounded, and then some of the later videos sounded horrible, and then they got a little better, and then arguably there's still some room for improvement there. I feel like my plants used to be a lot better. A couple of years ago, I used to keep better planted tanks. I was more regimented and disciplined at getting at fertilizing my tanks, and I have slipped lately. I actually did order some Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op, a big bottle of it, and my plan is to fix that and get back to some beautiful planted tanks because my plants right now have just all been suffering. But it's just an amazing journey, and if you feel like watching it, I think you're going to see some interesting things. Lots and lots of different fish, so many different fish. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of different fish that I've kept, and not all of them have died. If you see one disappear, it doesn't mean it's died. There's a lot that I sold where I kept the groups and I bred them and things like that, and then eventually kind of said, let's do something different, and I sold them off. So just because you see a fish disappear doesn't mean that it died. I'm not that horrible, but some of them did. There are a few groups of things that I kept that just didn't work out. So anyway, if you're looking for something long to watch, and or you just want to come back to it occasionally to skip around, I'll have bookmarks to be able to skip through the different videos. I got the dates posted when those videos came from, so you can kind of see it chronologically. And it goes all the way to the very last Fishroom tour video that I did a few weeks ago. And that's the end of it. But otherwise, thank you so much for checking this compilation video out. We'll see if you guys like this one. I may do another one in the future. I got another type of video that I'd like to do a compilation video on. So enjoy. And I'll say it now, since I won't say it at the end. Wishlist out later in an hour and a half. See you there. Just a quick overview of everything I've got. This is a 55-gallon tank, kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. Some gouramis, dwarf rainbow cichlids, a couple of rams, a couple of pistogrammas, some Siamese algae eaters. There's a pleco in there somewhere, and some of the most boring quarry fish that I've ever seen. I thought the other ones I've gotten were pretty exciting, and these guys are over there on the left. They're pretty boring. But anyway, kind of an interesting tank. Just it's the first bigger one that I bought, and I've changed it a few times since. Now it's kind of a collection of stuff. Right above it are the Nicaraguan cichlids. There's a few of them starting to color up, get some blue in their faces and on their finnage. There's also some small tiger plecos in there and one bigger pleco. So this is a 75-gallon, mostly South American tank. Some Icaras, Geophagus, one Braziliensis in there, and some little tetras and Siamese algae eaters. Got some plants coming out the top, which are kind of fun. Little canister filter that I made trying to save money, and turns out it doesn't really save you that much money to make your own, and you're nervous that you didn't do a good job and it's going to leak all over the floor. But hey, it was fun. Right below that is some Neolamprologus multifasciatus, which is just fun to say, but they started with about 9 of them, and they have multiplied, and there's probably like 50 of them in there now. It's just kind of fun to watch their little families. This tank, it's kind of a long story, but of how it ended up here, but it's not really supposed to be here. But right now it has some pistogramma babies, which are pretty small, and you can kind of see them zipping around there a little bit on the bottom. But yeah, it's just going to hang out there until those guys grow out, and then it's going to go away. Or I could move them. I'm not sure about that. This is just another mostly Central American tank, except for there's some Congo tetras in there, Firemouth, Green Terror, what am I missing? Jack Dempsey, and then Rainbow Shark, some Cories, some albino plecos. They're all pretty small. I'm hoping if they grow up together, they'll all be nice to each other and get along. But I don't know. Hopefully it's not too small of a tank for that setup. Kind of a high bio load, but still pretty cool. I love the driftwood and the plants. They're really one of my favorite tanks to look at. Right below them is a 60-gallon Lake Tanganyika tank. Right now it's got some daffodil cichlids and some Lelupis. And there's some Juliodicromis that have about a week and a half left before they're officially done with their quarantine period, and they'll go in there too. But then I've got some other fish that I'm thinking about putting in there later. Be all Lake Tanganyika fish, so pretty cool. Over here are some baby Icaras with some cool plants growing out of the top. The Icaras from the other tank. It's kind of a funny long story, but I thought I was ordering babies. They said they were babies. They were not babies. They came and they immediately made babies. And so now I have a whole bunch of these Icaras, which these aren't even all of them. You'll see the other ones in a second, but they're fun to watch them grow out. Right below that is a cherry red shrimp tank with some chili rasboras, which are eating right now. And just bought a few of those, and those have exploded in size. But that piece of wood on the left kind of gives off some tannin, so it always has kind of a black water look to it. But it's pretty cool, pretty fun to look at. Right next to that is a just another community tank with some tetras. There's my big old angel in there, which is fun to watch. There's another Geophagus Tapajos at the bottom that I got with the other ones. He got his eye hurt, so I thought he was gonna die in the other tank, and he was really close to it. I just about pulled him out once because he was not looking good, and then I decided to throw him here and see how he would do, and he's looking pretty good. So, but yeah, a little bit of algae on the back of that one, but plants look pretty good. Not as good as I want them to, but making some adjustments to it, so it's all right. Right below that, or above that, is the Julidochromis oreganis, which, where's the other one? There's one in the back there. I don't know, they kind of hide. I think they're going to be more active when they get into a tank with more activity, because they just kind of hide in here, but they're really pretty. I have to take my word for it. These guys are pitch black fulus is what they're called. Ysichromis pisciatus, I think is how you say their name. They're Lake Victoria cichlids, and they are critically endangered, which is one of the reasons, whoa, he like hit the roof there, which is one of the reasons why I got them, is to see if I could, and they are freaking out right now, I don't know why. This is a lot more activity than I'm used to seeing. I don't know, maybe they don't like me. Anyway, I wanted to see if I could breed them, and there's actually one holding female in here, and one that just recently laid babies, so I'll show you that. I guess laid babies isn't the right term for it. Had babies, mouth brooder, she spit them out. I put her back over there, and there's probably like 20 of them in the back there, you probably can't see. This is some guppies. I don't really know why I have them, but maybe they'll breed. Actually, I know they'll breed. One of them's really big pregnant, but whatever. Who doesn't want guppies? They look pretty, I guess. I'm not really a big fan of guppies, but ended up with them, so whatever. Let's just do something with them. And then here's the rest of the Acaras in this 40 breeder. So I think there's probably about 200 of them. So yeah, this is just kind of a back room where I just set up a few tanks to grow some stuff out. So, and then this is my little back closet that I have everything running through. I've got a CO2 tank down there, and then up at the top I've got some air pumps and a whole bunch of lines. So you can see they all run through the ceiling and come down into the tanks, plus the electricity on the back there, and a whole bunch of lights. So that's kind of how I'm running everything. So get this like whole wall of fish tanks with some more around the corner. Anyway, pretty awesome. So yeah, let me know what you think. This is a 55-gallon tank. I actually have a new filter coming in here in a few days because these Nicaraguans in here just tear the place up and make a mess. And so this is probably one of the dirtiest tanks. This little sponge filter just can't keep up. But there is, as of yesterday, just a male and a female in here, and one bristlenose pleco who's hiding back there by the heater. And my female, I think, is hiding behind that rock. The minute I came over here, they both hid. So yeah, I am hoping that these guys breed. That's my goal. But this male is starting to get a little bit of color in his face, and the female, if she would ever come out, is looking pretty good too. Right below that is this is mostly Asian. I guess it'd be the theme of this tank. You got some gouramis, some praecox rainbows, some bosamani, kind of on the smaller side right now, rainbows, some Siamese algae eaters, and two random little dwarf cichlids that I don't know where to put them right now, and a good amount of plants, which are pretty cool. I kind of like the plants almost just as much, but and then there's actually a little container right there that's got some eggs in it from those rainbows that I don't know how that's going to go. They seem to be kind of hard to breed, but we'll see if I can do it. I really want to find that female. She's probably, I don't know where she went. She just decided to hide. On the other side of the room, we start the wall, the fish wall. Down here, this tank hasn't changed much, but I started with like 9 multis in there, and there's probably like 100 at this point. They've just filled up the entire tank, and I've added more shelves, and they are awesome. I love looking at them. I know that the plants aren't exactly biotope for Lake Tanganyika, but I don't really care because I really like them, and they suck out the nitrates, so we'll call it, it's good. Right above that, that's probably one of my favorite tanks. There's my Braziliensis, some electric blue Acaras, a group of Geophagus tapajos, a couple more of those Siamese algae eaters. There's one pleco in there. I couldn't bring myself to get rid of all the Nicaraguans, even though I had too many, so I kind of spread them out throughout the tanks. That's one of the females, and there you go. Now you've seen one that looks full colored, so she looks great. I love, this is probably my favorite guy right here. He's just absolutely gorgeous. So lots of plants on top yeah, this thing can probably go a month without a water change despite the number of fish in it. This is kind of one of my experiments. I really want to grow out a carpet, so I'm doing kind of a dry start method. This is about 2 months in, and you can see it's starting to fill in there, and the plants in the back are starting to look good. It's got some saran wrap on it, some highlighting, and eventually have some CO2 and a nice filter on it. So we'll see how that goes. I don't even know what I'm going to put in it. If you have any recommendations on a smaller fish that would look good, like a schooling fish, let me know. Right below that, these are a whole bunch of Pistogramma cockatoides that are growing out and probably getting too big for this tank, and I need to get to the fish store and have them take some off my hands. Right below that, I am testing lots of different filters, and this one is just kind of, I know you love the under gravel filters, and so I'm trying that out in here. Just 3 little rainbow fish in there. I actually had some shrimp in there yesterday. I pulled them out, although there's one right there in the mop, and I kind of want to see if I can breed these guys. I bought like 7 of them, and I didn't realize that the fish that I had them quarantining with would eat them. So there's only 3 left, and kind of bummed about that. So let's see if I can breed them. Over here, this is probably, gosh, one of the most beautiful tanks that I've got. I don't know how long it's going to last because fish in here are a little aggressive. There's a Jack Dempsey. There's a Green Terror right there. It was beautiful, and the Jack Dempsey is awesome as well. A whole bunch of Congo tetras. There's a Nicaraguan down there, kind of fits in with that Central American theme. Some Cories, some Plecos, and a firemouth that's in there somewhere. I don't know where he is. There used to be a red-tailed shark in there, but he decided to beat everybody up, and then I wasn't sure what to do with him, but I think he picked a fight with the wrong person, because one day I showed up and he was dead. So it's a lot of aggressive fish in here. So my guess is he just pecked at the Green Terror, and the Green Terror said nope, and that was kind of sad, but at the same time there's been peace in the tank ever since. You'd think with this group that you would probably have aggression from other sources, but I don't know, that he was the problem apparently, and they took care of it themselves. That was kind of sad, but at the same time, the firemouth seems to be happier. I just can't find him right now. Sometimes he hides in the back. Oh, there he is. Finally, I found him. So he's not as colored up as he was when I first got him, but ever since that red tail is gone, he seems to be looking better. So, but yeah, I love the way the wood is, and I'm still playing with the plants. I've got some new plants in there that I haven't planted yet. But they look great. So. Right below that, I think I'm gonna have to change this tank. This is kind of a Link Tanganyika community tank, and it's working, but I don't know, there's behind that heater back there, one of the Juliodachromis is hiding, although it seems to be his fellow Juliodachromis that are picking on him, so I don't know, I gotta get him out of there or something, but there's so many rocks in here, it's almost impossible to get anything out. But you also have daffodil, Neolamprologus pulchers, daffodil cichlids, and 3 Lelupi, and then the daffodil cichlids have taken the time to fill up the bottom of this tank with fry, and I am absolutely amazed that nothing ever eats any of them. They just seem to keep having fry, and I assume, well, they'll probably get eaten, and they never get eaten. So I may have to just give this tank to the daffodils. I'm not sure, and get the Lelupi and the Juliodachromis out of there, but we'll see. This is just some long-finned lemon-eyed lemon plecos, and that tank cave down there has a male in it who's been in there for like 2.5 weeks, and I really want to see the babies, but I know he's got babies in there, and the female's back there. So I will probably move them out once he's ready to come out of there, and the babies are just gonna grow up in this tank, and This is another one that's kind of cloudy, although I can't tell because of the color, but I'm pretty sure it's like a green algae, which is actually kind of good for breeding stuff, so I kind of want to leave it. This one I kind of redid this week, so it hasn't grown out yet. Just put some plants in there, and the fish that are in here, I had a group of geophagus. I don't know why he's scratching like that. That makes me nervous. And I had a group of geophagus, and he was just the runt, and he just wasn't growing. So I put him in here and feed him, see if I can get him to grow up. That Acara I've had for like 9 months, and he's never gotten any bigger, and his belly's kind of sunken, and I've given him different treatments, I've done different things, and he just doesn't seem to want to grow. I bought him in a pair, and he seemed to be doing fine when he was in a pair, and then his mate died. He was always kind of sickly looking, and I just hate fish stores, let's just say that. The other two Acaras that I have over in the other tank I got online, and they're just so healthy. There's a crebensis there that I got for free from somebody. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them. I don't particularly like them. They nip everybody's fins. This tank belongs to, I don't know if you can see the pleco. There's a L397 tiger pleco. Maybe there's one in here. Yeah, I think there's one in the cave. Can't really see him. Actually, nope, that's an Acara a pistogramma that decided to take over that cave. But anyway, this is going to be their tank. I want to breed them. So the other ones are just kind of in and out. So, but it's a dirt substrate down here with a sand cap. So this tank was kind of a quarantine tank, but I'm going to use it for something that actually looks good. And maybe breed those plecos, which would be fun. This has probably got thousands of cherry red shrimp in it and a whole bunch of plants. So I probably should have dropped some food in there so you could see what happens. I just drop it right there, and it's crazy. There's also some, I don't know if you can see, there's one fish back there. You can see there's some cherry rasboras. They don't eat the shrimp. Probably the only fish that I've found or heard of that don't eat shrimp. So yeah, they have taken over this tank, and I'm okay with that. They're pretty fun to watch, actually. I think I showed you this one before. This is the Fulus, pitch black Fulus, and you can see that black one right there. He's in full breeding outfit. If he'll come out, there you go. They're pretty amazing, but they're a Charis species, and I'll show you. I've been breeding them. This is just sitting there. There's no eggs in there right now, but there will be hopefully soon. This tank I probably need to redo because it's overrun with snails, and it's really just for these compressiceps that they look really cool, although they're small, and I think they'll look cool whenever they get bigger. But for right now, I have to say they are very boring fish. The guppies are there because they drop babies, and the compressiceps eat them, and that's pretty much all they're there for. I actually got them from a friend who has tanks and tanks of them, as guppies usually do. So this is just kind of a community tank with lots and lots of plants. I like this big lily coming out here. It's really the angel and the two rams are who own this tank. There is another crebensis there because that's another one that I got for free, and he actually hasn't bothered anybody in this tank. I think it's a male. A couple of tetras and a trio of hatchet fish up there, pleco over there, and some cories on the bottom. So kind of just a community hodgepodge of I guess we'll call it South American fish. So this tank is these were hard to get a hold of, all of these. The spotted guys are the Callichromis. These guys are the Cyprichromis leptosomas, which are awesome fish, and I cannot wait for them to have some babies because I would love to have more of them, but they're actually very hard to find. These guys, honestly, there's almost no information on the internet about them. I just saw some pictures of them. I'm like, I gotta have it. And if they're called Cyathopharynx foyer, I believe is the name of them, and they get this crazy I don't know. If you want to know what they look like, ask me. I'll send you a picture of what they look like. I don't know how to describe it. Like fluorescent, but when they're in breeding color. But I don't know if they'll be able to do everything they do in this tank. He's starting to get colors on them, but they all came to me pretty small. So anyway, that's what's in there, kind of more of an open water tank. These are all imbunas, zebras, red zebras, some yellow labs, kind of a collection of them. I got them and they were babies. There was a guy on Facebook who was just giving them away. Some orange blotches. There's also two, oh, there's one. There's two little catfish in there. Petricolis is the other guy on the back. Yeah, super fun. Interested to see if they're all going to be okay growing out in there. But just all imbunas, different kinds of imbunas that I got for free. Some more plants on the top. So this is the whole wall all the way down. So back here, this is just my kind of grow out breeding tanks, I guess you call them. You've got these are electric blue acaras. I've got a few prospects for them. Down here, I don't know, everybody breeds guppies because guppies are easy, but I got a kind of a specialty guppy that I ordered, and I don't know if I like them that much, but whatever, I'll just leave them in there. Both of these tanks are the Fulus. Usually they just don't like the phone. Usually they come right up to me because they like food. The Fulus actually will move up here and the next day or so, or a couple days, whenever I get them set up. Neither one of these guys are going to come out for me. I haven't had them for very long, and so they've been very skittish. These guys like to hang out back behind that filter, but both of these fish come from called Lake, a place in the Congo. There's two under there called Lake Fwa, or the river is called Fwa, F-W-A, and it's a 6-mile long river, and it flows into a very acidic river, but the river they come from is very alkaline, and so there's only like a 6-mile long river that these guys live in. These ones are called Schwetzai. I can't remember exactly how to say it. The adult versions look pretty awesome, but they're kind of, yeah, they just don't want to come out. And these ones come from the same river, and they're Thoracomas barashi. I don't remember how to say it, but they're called blood throats. If you look up blood throat, you might be able to find a picture, but of course they're not going to want to come out. And then it doesn't help that the tank is dirty on the front, so can't really see them, but they're going to be pretty stunning whenever they grow. So anyway, that's it. I know that's all of it. I promise that's it. There's a couple little babies in that little basket of these guys that are smaller. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's the fish insanity. I've moved a ton of stuff around, so let's do this again. We got a new sectional here, which means this tank is coming out, which is why it's so filthy, because I don't really care about cleaning it, because I'm going to move all these Nicaraguan babies into probably a 40 breeder in the back room. So there are a lot of them. So it was kind of a deal that if we got this sectional, then I could get this. So but you can see one of these the foyer. Which one were you at? Where's he at? Oh, there he is. He is starting to color up finally, and he has made this nest here that he is protecting. So, but you've already seen this, so I don't need to show you more of that, but it's awesome. I'll show you some of the fish that are going to go in there. And I just talked to the fish store today about a 180, so hopefully I can get that down here soon. I don't know what I'm going to put in it, so any suggestions you got, I'm up for. Some fish have moved out of here. I'll show you where they went, but mostly just Geophagus in here. And I had a electric blue acara disaster of a few weeks ago. I had a pump malfunction and a bunch of my babies died. And then at the same time, like 2 days later, my male died. So there will be no more babies, unfortunately, for a long time. And now I just have one acara, so I'm kind of depressed about that. This guy is always fantastic, and now he's got I'm thinking that's a female next to him, so hopefully that'll turn into something. There's some Carbensis, and some Siamese algae eaters. And there was a Nicaraguan in here that destroyed this plant in the back and every other plant. So I'm hoping that this can recover. I used to have a lot of moss growing here. I just had to redo it. So yeah, but I mean, these plants on the top are just growing like crazy. So these are the multis. They are growing and multiplying as always. So not much of a development there, and I don't think I'm gonna mess with them. So I thought about putting some in that 220, but I'm 210, but I'm not sure about that. This, I don't even know what I'm doing with this down here. I'm gonna do something that the kids want, fish tanks. So I think this tank and this tank are gonna become their fish tanks. Right now there's just some thread fin rainbows in there that I actually bred. I'll show you their babies here in a second. And a whole bunch of algae. So and some cherry red shrimps that I just threw in there just because. And then this thing was growing out all the epistogrammas, and it is just an absolute mess. And right now it has a few fish in it that are gonna go in the tank above, and one guppy. I got like a bunch of guppies from a friend, and they've just all died one time or another. So this is my kind of nano tank, which has a whole bunch of white cloud minnows and some autosynclus and some Amano shrimp somewhere that are not out right now, but pretty awesome, pretty fun. I did like a dry start, and I just flooded it the other day, and I'm hoping the Amano clean up some of this cyanobacteria that's kind of covering the carpet down there. But although from a distance it just looks like a carpet, but it's still got some holes in it. It's got some ways to go, but just kind of pretty. Got a little filter running down there. You can't really see it. Here you are. So this tank is now kind of more of a peaceful community tank. I got one angel in there, a bunch of rainbows, my Congos, some emperor blue tetras, some cories. So it is just super active and super fun to sit here and watch, and I can't wait for those rainbows to get bigger, and the Congos too. That's going to be awesome. I'm not sure if this is going to be big enough to hold all those Congos, because there's like 9 of them whenever they get bigger. Only a couple males. It's a good ratio, but so we'll see. This is the Cyprichromis leptosoma. That the reason they're not in that 210 right now is because I want them to breed, because I want more. And the other day there was one holding, and then today when I fed them, it didn't look like she was holding anymore, so I'm not really sure what happened there. A lot of the other fish from the 210 were in here, and they bred like crazy, so there are some baby Lelupi swimming around in there, and a whole bunch of daffodils. And yeah, there's one of the Lelupi down here, a bunch of the daffodils, and there's a few of the Juliodachromis there's one over there, that are swimming around, but they're kind of small, so I just couldn't get them all out of here to put over there, so just figured I'd let them grow up in here. This is a 60-gallon tank. It's good size for them. So, and then hopefully these guys will have a few rounds of babies, and then I'll be able to move them over, and they'll eventually. This is a whole bunch of blue-eyed lemon plecos. Their parents are all over the place, and it's all green water, which is great because there's never any nitrates in here. And so I don't have to do much to it. I mean, I do change it, but I kind of try to let the green water just do its thing, because it just sucks up, and it's great nutrition for them. So yeah, not very pretty tank though. This is just kind of a planted tank. There's some gouramis, and then there's kind of a mixture of like leftovers in here. There's a blue ram back there, and a female pistogramma somewhere. There she is. And there's 2 tiger plecos, L397s. This is a whole bunch of cherry shrimp. These are those fulus that absolutely hate cameras for some reason. The endangered ones, they're still here. They haven't changed. They've been here the longest. I have the tank off on this because this is also green water, but I don't want this one green water. And I just got these today. I just picked these up a little while ago. These squeaking catfish, and you know what? I was gonna put them in. There's 2 of them. I don't know what the other one is. I was gonna put them in the 210, But now I'm not sure about that, but I just kind of like him. So I don't know where the other one is, but there's two in there. Hopefully he's okay. You're leaving the light off to kind of not. This is the male Nicaraguan who is just likes to hang out there. He can actually see the female Nicaraguans through that glass, so it's kind of cool. He colors up a little bit. And there's a pleco under that filter right there. These are all my ambunas. There's a couple petricola catfish somewhere in there. And this basket right here is where the I still have this. I'm trying to figure out how to breed those rainbows, but I put them in here. I don't know how to clean this thing out because they're so tiny. So I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I gotta figure it out. I mean, the rainbows don't seem to care, but it's dirty. I guess I could just take like a little airline tubing and suction it. But I don't know if you saw the little tiny baby rainbows in there. They're really hard to see, but they are very small. This is 75. It's got Jack Dempsey. I put my Nicaraguans in here. There's a green terror, and then there's my big Braziliensis, who is just hanging out. They're all probably mad at me because since that Akara died, I'm like, I really need to start doing better at instituting a fast day. There's a pleco in there. You wouldn't know it from the brown algae on the back there. I'm not sure why. I hope he's still alive. I have to look for him. Back here, yeah, this is where I told you it was the that is like this most sickening feeling when you walk around the corner and you don't hear your pumps running, and of course there were like 200 of these cars in this 40-gallon tank, and now there's probably like 50. So that was a really bad day. Try not to think about that much, but I threw the pistogrammas in here. Just figured they would go well together, and they did, so they can all grow out together. Why not breed guppies? They're super easy. These are actually kind of pretty. And Jenny has some of the males. She keeps taking the males and putting them in her little puffer tank upstairs, and they actually look really good in there. So why not? These are some more babies from that bottom 60 that I just fished out of there, and there was some other babies in here, and I just wanted to keep something in this tank, so other than a million snails. Those are some more of the Fulu babies, and these are the bigger Fulu babies, which there are a bunch of them, and I probably need to start figuring out what I'm going to do with them. And these are is an African cichlid called the Schwetzi. I can never say them, and they don't even have a common name. They're so incredibly rare. One of them is holding right there, and they've got some babies that used to be in that bottom tank that I showed a second ago. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to pull her. And these ones you will not see because they are from the same region as the one above, and they are incredibly skittish. They're called bloodthroats, and they're cool looking when they come out. And I actually dropped a few of those pleco babies in this tank, and they did a good job cleaning the glass. And this tank they have not, which makes me think that they ate them or something. I'm not really sure because I haven't seen them since I dropped them in there. So that kind of stinks. There's actually one barely. Oh no, he swam away. They're cool looking, but you won't see them. So yeah, the other babies will end up, the Nicaraguan babies will end up probably back there. There's another 55 sitting on the ground. I don't know if I'm going to use that or just go get a 40 for the Nicaraguans to grow out in. So anyway, yeah, that's my update. So these guys are beautiful. So hopefully I don't screw up again. Anyway, that's just my update. This is my newest setup. This is a 125-gallon kind of open water Lake Tanganyika tank with Cypricomus, Enantiopus calisa, and Chalinochromis melanostigma rainbows. That's a lot of big words, but I believe I got them all right. But they're just more open water, sand-dwelling fish, and they're all very, very small, except for the calisa, who are you can probably barely see because of the white out from that sand, but they're very pretty when they are flaring for breeding purposes. But right now it just look like a bunch of silverfish. I just have one of the fluval lights, the small ones on here, just because I wanted to control the color and make it kind of dim. I had that light on a planted tank, and I don't think it's the long-term plan for this one, but these are kind of like muted color fish anyway that do better with very dull lighting. They actually look better that way, so I just kind of wanted to control the lighting, although it looks bright on here. It's not really in person. And then it's got an FX4 filter on it too, and it sits right underneath my TV. So this was a spot that went back and forth quite a bit with Jenny on whether or not I could have it. And I don't know what I gave up. Most of the other things that I have down here, I gave up something to get it, but this one she just gave me, so this one was just her being nice. So down here we have 180 gallons, some silver dollars, Electrobulacara, there's Geophagus topahos, or I guess Pyrocephalus, and then there's some smaller altifrons, which are supposed to get very large and very pretty. And then my Geophagus brasiliensis, he's over there. There's a little orange pistogramma sitting down there, that, and then there's a pleco in the back. There's 3 different plecos in here, and there's the tail of one of the tiger plecos you can see sticking out there. Pretty fish that you'll never see. And there is a blue-eyed lemon pleco somewhere around here. Yeah, that's I might throw some angels in here, but I don't know. I might be already fully stocked, and plus these other fish are going to get pretty big, so we might be done with this one, but still pretty cool. Just some like kind of cheapo lights from Amazon. I don't love them. I go back and forth. As long as the glass is clean, I think it looks okay. But like these Geophagus looked a lot better under some better aquarium lighting. But and both this tank and the top tank are just run with these Owazi 600 filters, which have the built-in heaters, which are amazing. Don't love the glare that comes off of that, so that's another reason why I might change the light. Up here, this is the community Tanganyika tank. Lots of different fish in here. I'm not even gonna name them all. Tons of fish. There's some sand dwellers. I may kind of swap around, like these these Cyathopharynx foyer, which they might go in that other 125. There's only 4 of them. They're a little aggressive, so I'm not sure. I'm definitely gonna let those other fish grow up before I do any swapping around. But they build these little like nests right here for breeding purposes. When they're in breeding color, they're pretty amazing. Ooh, look, one of the catfish are out. Those things are pretty awesome. During the day, they usually hide in the rocks. But I love the filters for this, because all you can see is the black tubing coming down from the top. And then this is just like a 4-foot. This is a really cheap light. It's like $40, Aquaneat. I had a bright light on here, but it just didn't look as good. These fish just look better with a dim light, so I put the cheap light on here. I thought it looked great, so that's what we went with. So it's the same light that's on this tank right now. Another one, Aquaneat. I have a few of these, so like 4-foot lights. They don't cost much. This one could definitely stand to use a little bit better lighting, but this is kind of an aggressive tank. There's a Jack Dempsey, 3 female Nicaraguans, some Crebensis that I have no idea how they've survived this long, really. I didn't know if they would survive at all, but and then the boss of the tank is hiding for some reason, and that's this green terror back here. I don't know why. I believe it's I don't know if it's a male or female, but I don't know why. I wish it was out, because she's really pretty when she's out. And there's also yeah, there's more in there, but they're all hiding. Actually, this tank has calmed down. Originally, they had a lot of problems with this tank being kind of aggressive, so. But this one's just filtered with the 307 series fluval. Anyway, so yeah, that's that one. Got lots of plants on top growing out. A lot of these fish will eat plants, so I can't really keep any in there, but this stuff keeps the nitrates pretty low, so it's probably about every 3-week water change. It's pretty nice. Down here, this is my it's shell dweller, Tanganikans, my multifasciatus. And they've bred like crazy, but they've actually kind of plateaued. They're not really breeding anymore because they've got too many fish in there. But super fun to watch. They dig all these pits and they re-landscape this thing every few weeks, so it's kind of cool. But just a sponge filter in there, and then this light. I don't even remember what this thing's called, but got it off of Amazon. Kind of cheap light, but it's fine for these guys. They don't care. This will be the spot of my first saltwater tank, which is, the tank is sitting over on the counter. It's going to be cleaned out, and very soon I'll show you what I'm working on there. This is kind of my awesome planted tank, community tank. Some cherry barbs, different rainbows, one gourami, an angel over there. Yeah, just love sitting here watching this thing. All the activity and very peaceful fish. I got some new fish coming this week that will go into quarantine and then eventually go into here. So, but this is the Higer light that I was telling you about, which is obviously bright enough to grow all these plants, but then most of these are kind of low light plants. Amazon swords and Anubias, Java fern, they don't really take much. So, but I've had, although these, I can't remember the name of this kind of red plant. There's some more in the back. Those are generally a little harder to grow, I found, and they're growing with this light, so it's a decent light. Just the programmability isn't great with it. So, and this thing is just filtered by a couple of hang-on backs, and a sponge filter, which I got that sponge filter just to cycle it and put it in another tank, and then I left it there, and I'm like, you know what, actually, that's the aquarium co-op. So you'll see a lot of those. It blows across the top of the water, which is really great. So this thing's got surface agitation at the wazoo. So lots of oxygen in there, but yeah, and a little bit of CO2 as well. But right below that, this is another one of those aquaneat. This is a 60-gallon, and these fish are all going to be in hiding. These are actually wild caught Tanganyikan fish that will eventually go into that 210, and then this will become something else, which I don't know yet. I have about 2 ideas and haven't decided yet. But in here, there's some more of these Autolaphrologus compressiceps. There's 3 of them. Oh, you can see 2 over there. And then, oh, there they are back there. Those are Tanganyikan goby cichlids. And they are super fun to watch eat, but still pretty shy. But all of these fish, except for the little plecos, are wild caught. So they are from Lake Tanganyika. So, pretty awesome. These guys, these are so pretty. These are zebra acaras. And I am trying so hard to get them to breed. I really, really want them to breed. And I have gotten them to lay eggs quite a few times. But I just can't get the eggs to develop. They end up eating them. So I'm trying different things, but we'll see how that goes. So, but so pretty. I actually like them a lot better on this light substrate. And then a very similar species is this. This is called an Ivanacara bimaculata, and that is the name of it. It doesn't really have a common trade name. I believe they discovered it in 2019. Pretty rare. And you know, you really can't find it easily. Definitely never going to find it in a fish store. You can get them online. But yeah, I'm also trying to get them to breed. I have also gotten them to lay eggs a few times, but have not gotten them to develop yet. They need extremely acidic, extremely soft water. So I'll show you what I got for that. But still working on it. Hopefully I get them soon. But man, are they just the purple and the blues. That's the smaller ones, the female and the bigger male back there. And these guys are so peaceful. Like they're just very peaceful fish. So yeah, so those two are pretty closely related. Here's my shrimp tank. Tons of cherry red shrimp. Tons and tons of cherry red shrimp. So not much to say about that. And these are actually those little aquaneat lights too. And they're not very expensive, but I kind of like them. They're good for anything. This is, right now, all that's in here is white cloud minnows. I have in the mail this week. I should get some ember tetras, and I'm gonna put some other fish. I'll show you some threadfin rainbows in here. So yeah, this is gonna be, and these floating plants are from my ponds. outside. I'm not going to put those in the video, but I do also have two, I guess more than that. There's some breeding buckets, like containers, and some whiskey barrels that I have filled up, and I've got some guppies out there too. So there's some more outside, but I took some of these floating plants inside because I want to keep them alive, so that next year when I put the pond back together, I can throw these in there to grow out. But right now, white cloud minnows in here. Soon I'll probably throw some guppies in here. This is just going to be like this is 29 gallons. It's just going to have a ton of like really peaceful smallmouth fish. I bet I could probably throw some sherry shrimp in here. I don't know, because it's got some little baby plecos growing out. You'll see those spread all over the place. So this is a black ocellatus, Tanganyikan fish. There's only 2 in there. I lost one this week. I originally had 4. I lost one pretty quickly, and I don't know what they're doing. He's hiding up in the corner. I think they're trying to breed. I think there's some animosity. I'm not sure what's happening there, but one of them unfortunately died. So, but they're fun fish, they're all over the place, but I just can't get them to do what I want them to do. So we'll see how much longer they last. This is kind of another community tank. There's a paradise gourami in there, some Odessa barbs and cherry barbs. And I think I might add something else in there this week. Ordered some more stuff, but we'll see. Just another planted community tank. And I've got a couple other little gouramis actually that are in quarantine in the back that will go in here. But we'll see what I do with it. But you'll notice this plant is all over the place because it grows like crazy. It's called Pogostem installatus. It just takes over every tank I put it in, which is great because it just sucks out everything. So, but yeah, so that's a fun one. Over here, I still need to do something with this. There's a Severum that just is afraid of me and loves to hide underneath that. Those are Victorian cichlids called fulus, pitch black fulus, that are pretty cool. And then this guy is probably one of my favorite fish. This is a starry night cichlid. Very personable. Of course, he's not moving around right now, but I mean, I can just put my hand in there and almost like pet the guy. He's so calm and gentle. Although he'll eat anything. He's got a big mouth. So just depends. But yeah, just a 75-gallon tank with these guys for now. I might move some of these fish into other tanks and do something with them, but I don't know. I think this one's kind of in transition. Right above it, this is my Mbuna tank. And there is also a Nicaraguan, a male Nicaraguan cichlid back there. Glary, I don't know if you can see it. He was down there, but he was a total butthead and just wanted to terrorize the tank. So I read that they can go with Mbunas, and I tried it, and it worked just fine. In fact, they kind of keep him back there. Although he comes out, I've never seen him attack each other. They kind of coexist. So these guys need to grow a little bit more plants on the top of this tank. This pothos plant starts here, and it runs all the way along there, and it's poking out this side. So I'm hoping, oh, look at that, it wants to go all the way under the light. That's not going to go well. So I'm hoping to get that all the way across the room. There's another one over here. I mean, look at this thing. This is crazy. And then this thing's going down to the ground. I'm going to run that on top of the saltwater tank and just have them like meet up in the middle, but I'm hoping to get pothos all around the room. So this is the pile of junk that is part of projects. So I actually had a tank leak, and I had to move some stands around, and these 2 tanks ended up on this countertop because I had nowhere to put them. But this one's just growing out some threadfin rainbows that I bred, and parents are in that 75 over there. And this will move to a rack that I just finished, and this will become my saltwater tank. But right now it's got some gouramis that I bought about 3 weeks ago that will go into that 75 community tank. So it's just kind of hanging out. I used to have this all planted and pretty, and I don't know, I liked it, but it was kind of like, it's a lot of work to keep the plants nice and to keep the algae at bay, and the lights were bright, and ultimately I decided to do a saltwater, and I have this just sitting here for now, but not doing anything, but a little Oazi filter that filters it, but this will all get cleaned out and turned into saltwater. So and that 10-gallon will go onto this rack, which is going to be a breeding project for apistogrammas that I'm ordering, some wild caught apistogrammas. And that 10 behind me that's on the counter will go down in the bottom slot. So yeah, that is in progress. This is a 55-gallon that is growing out some apistogrammas. This is kind of part of my project. I love these ones, but they are they're kind of inbred, I think. Like, I just noticed that some of the fish that I get have crooked spines and tumors, and so I'm gonna order some wild caught cockatoides and cross them with these guys to see if I can get them like a really healthy strain of them or something like that, but still keep as much of the orange. Look at, they're putting on a show for us. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, and then also growing out here are a ton of baby blue-eyed lemon plecos. So, and not by choice, like a million ramshorn snails that just have taken over, but I feed these plecos a lot and they make a lot of waste, so the ramshorn snails have taken full advantage of that. So, and then below here, these are baby Nicaraguan cichlids who I had a home for as far as like someone I was going to sell them to, and then they backed out, and so now I am frantically trying to find like a wholesaler that will take them. And yeah, and I'm not really sure what to do about that right now because they need to go pretty soon. But yeah, very exciting tank right there. So, and then back here, well, first, this is my 7-stage, the other 2 stages are on the ground RODI filter that I'm going to use to make my saltwater, my little hatching station for brine shrimp, which is not running currently. Yeah, this is just kind of my mess of how I clean tanks and make water. So I don't even have any salt yet, but that trash can is full of RODI water. So, and I also use the RODI water for the bimaculatas and the zebra caras, because they like that soft water and they need it for their eggs to hatch. So I'm still working on getting that to be a reality. But these are all just kind of grow out tanks. That one's just been taken over by green water, which I absolutely love. It's got 2 gouramis in it, not that you'll be able to see them through that, but because the nitrates are always 0 in green water, and just very clean water technically, but just, I don't know, it's just a quarantine tank, so don't really care. This one is growing out some Neolamprologus lupi. They're very, very small right now, but that community tank over there, they will breed and they will hatch, and but they'll all get eaten. So I actually have devised a way to suck them out of the little cave that they tend to hatch them in, and then I just drop them in here and they grow up, and there's probably like 15 of them in there. So when they get a little bigger, I'll put them back in that community tank because they give me that nice splash of orange. Of course, there's those guys. And this is just a breeding tank for a bunch of guppies, which are pretty guppies. They're cool looking. But here's some electric blue acaras growing out, a couple plecos. It's a little floating basket where I keep some more electric blue acaras. These guys are more of the fulus, which is care species. So also got to figure out what to do with them soon. That was a similar. I was supposed to have somebody buying them, so but then they kind of backed out. They're pretty cool fish, but I might combine them into that lower 60 that I've got whenever those fish are out of quarantine. Make a combination of actually all 3 of the fish on this rack. The fulus, these ones are kind of a rare African cichlid, and the males get these like pretty red and white, and these guys colony breed, so you can see there's just tons of babies. I started with 6 of them, and they've said we've got more, and they've made more. And but they're pretty cool fish, and really pretty, kind of just more subtle colors, and the orange and the whites. I don't know if that's really coming through. Probably this male is the prettiest, if I can get him to hold still for me. But really cool looking fish. And these fish are from the same lake as those ones in Africa. And they are very elusive, although there's a few coming out. I've actually never had them come out on film, and they don't look like much, but they get these, they're called blood throats because they get these red in their throats. And when they do, they look really pretty, but they're kind of very skittish. But I have had them with some of the fish above that I just showed, and then they are a lot more active and they look a lot better. So I believe what I'll be doing is taking these 3 fish and putting them in that bottom 60, kind of in a community style, also to control the breeding activity of the other ones. So and then I can actually enjoy them. And then I'll also empty these 3 tanks out and either leave them empty and be done with them for a while, or find something to put in them, which is probably what I will be doing. So yeah, anyway, that's an update on everything other than maybe the ponds outside. I guess I can hit pause here and I can show you those. This is a 110 gallon container from Tractor Supply, and I have a lot of wild animals out here, so I was kind of set this up because I was thinking of building a koi pond, but I didn't know if I could keep fish alive outside or if something would come get it. It's kind of iffy how it's going. I don't know if you can see goldfish in there. There's currently 3 goldfish in here. I was going to build a koi pond. I had a friend with a koi pond. He gave me 2 small koi, and one of them jumped out like the second day, which was a bummer. The other one was in there for a long time, and about a week ago I noticed that I wasn't seeing it and I couldn't find it, and it's just gone. So I'm guessing a bird came down and grabbed it, or a raccoon or a bear. I don't know. I have a lot of wildlife around here, so I don't know how to say the experiment is going, because I lost both koi, although only one of them from the thing that I was worried about. So yeah, not sure, but kind of fun to grow the plants out and you know, just come out here and feed them. There's food sitting on the top. I don't know why they haven't come up and got them. And this thing is just filtered. I made this filter. It's just actually I had this thing on a tank downstairs, but yeah, I don't know, there's a good amount of algae in the bottom, but yeah, so that's one of the ponds. And this is a little area Jenny and I set up just kind of as a little oasis. Of course there's no sunlight out here, so you can't really see much. These are rice fish babies that are actually my Sarah, I don't know, I got her into a little breeding project, and she was floating these mops, and I just kind of had her breeding them just to show her how easy it was, and now I have a ton of rice fish. So these are not little permanent things. Actually, I have a whole porch right there, so I was thinking of getting another one of these ponds and containers and just throwing those rice fish down there, because now I've got like 50 to 100 of them. So those are the guppies. This is just a little wine barrel that obviously won't be able to stay out here all the time. This will. This has gold white cloud minnows in that barrel, and then this one has rice fish, which actually they've bred in here. So this one has some rice fish and then also some rainbow shiners down at the bottom. Yeah, so this one will be out here year long, and those fish should all be able to survive our winters, which are relatively mild. So yeah, that's all of the fish. Not that there needs to be many more, but I'm sorry the video was so incredibly long, but I hope you figure out your lighting, and I can't wait to see what you come up with for your fish room. But I would highly recommend, if you haven't ever done a pond, these are so fun. They're just really cool to have this kind of natural thing outside, but mostly that. These are just kind of ugly, but super fun. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you here in a week or 2 weeks. Your patience has finally paid off. I'm going to do a video of everything in my basement. I know you've been waiting anxiously for this moment, and here it is. I will show you each individual tank and this pond, and I will post links in the description to each one of the videos going over each one of these in case you want some more detail. But I just wanted to kind of make a video and show like an overview of everything and how I have it all set up, and maybe a little bit of the infrastructure and possibly a sneak peek of plans to come. So this is my 110 gallon stock tank that has goldfish and rice fish in it, and there's a whole story behind it that you can go check out. Just out of curiosity, if anybody out there has multiple hobbies, I have multiple obsessions, and one of them is honey, and this is all, or not honey, but beekeeping, and this is all honey sitting in buckets right next to it. If there are any beekeepers out there, I'm really curious to see if there's anybody else who has found a way to combine those two hobbies. But as we go through the basement, you'll see there's the extractor evidence of both hobbies. although the fish have mostly taken over the basement. So, but here's my goldfish pond, goldfish, rice fish, a couple rice fish congregating there on top, and a lot of water lettuce and water hyacinths. So it's kind of hard to see all the goldfish, but they're in there. But there's a whole story on this pond, so, and why it's in my basement. So go ahead and check it out. I'll have a video soon of some fish food that I'm actually in the process of making. There's meat in there, and I'm really excited. I have an idea of how to make my own fish food. I've kind of done it once already, and it has been very successful. So stay tuned for that video. But if you move down here, we're just going to kind of start in the back with my not so pretty tanks and move my way to something a little more exciting. So this is a bunch of 40 breeders and some 10 gallons there on the bottom left. These 40 breeders are kind of all over the place right now. The bottom one is mostly growing out some blue-eyed lemon Brisonose plecos. There's some Leilupi in the middle one and a couple more plecos, and also some of the Lake Foix cichlids, which you'll see the main tank where they came from. They used to be back here, and there were a few babies that I just didn't move, and they're just kind of hanging out here growing out. And right now up top is just snails, but I do have some fish coming in next week, so I'm going to clean that up and get it ready to quarantine them. This is, you'll notice the water here on the floor. I have kind of a siphon going right there, and I just have it draining down my floor and down the drain. So every time I walk down here, I have to just step over this tiny little river. But there's my water supply is there in the background behind it, and I have a little drip that just slowly drips into the tank from my hot water supply. So just kind of an automatic water changer. Of course, with all the algae on the glass, I'm not sure 100% how well it works, although the fish never seem to have a problem. Right now in that tank, there are a bunch of electric blue acaras growing out, as well as a floating basket that has a lot more electric blue acaras that are just babies right now. On the bottom on the left, there's a tank of guppies, and then on the right two tanks, those are both Apistogramma cockatoides, orange flash, and those are breeding tanks. I'll kind of do a video eventually. You'll see some more Apistogrammas, just kind of a part of a breeding project. I have a local fish store that really likes those Apistogrammas, so I just grow them out. Same thing with the electric blue acaras. I'll do a video on this sometime too, but this is my kind of workstation mess. There's my brine shrimp hatchery over there. There's two trash cans. One has RODI water only, and one has salt water for my saltwater tank. You'll see the salt water, or the salt down there, and then the RODI filter on the wall, and there's more actually down below on the floor. I'll do a whole video on this eventually, just kind of showing how this madness actually makes sense. I feel like every fish keeper has a cat mascot, or at least every YouTube fish keeper. So here's mine. Her name is Soka. She doesn't really cause any problems. Any Star Wars fans out there will know what that name comes from. This is, and you know what, I'll start by saying this is the beginning of the stacks. So a lot of my tanks are stacked. As you saw in the back, there's a bunch of stacks, and so I've just got stacks and stacks of tanks all over the place. So on the bottom is my 55-gallon Tropheus tank, which I've added some plants to recently. I have some plans in the future to get some bigger tanks, and I wanted them to have plants, so I bought a lot of plants recently, and I've kind of just put them in random places where they can hang out for now until I get the bigger tanks and I can set those up. On the top is my Amazon puffer and Tetra tank, which I've done a video. Like I said, all these videos will be in the links will be in the description. Over here, okay, I have to explain the SpongeBob tank. That is my daughter's tank, and she chose all the decorations for that tank. And I can't keep that thing clear no matter what I do. I just hate that substrate, that colored substrate. And she had fish die and things like that. So I don't know. I'm a big fan of the more natural substrate, and I've never had a tank like this, and I let her set it up like that, and it has not gone well. But the two tanks are below it and above it are more Apistogramma cockatoides, and on the top is the blue flame Agassizii Apistogramma, which I have a video on. I haven't done a video on the cockatoides yet, but I might do that one day, but it's just kind of part of the project. There's some babies in that second from the top tank. And then coming around here, First off, this is my wax that I'm melting down and my honey bucket. So there's some more evidence of that. In the corner here, these are, I'll show you the infrastructure I have going through the ceiling for my air. This one is just an air pump that I'm waiting for some more valves so I can run them down from the PVC that's in the ceiling. But I've got some Bimaculata babies in this 5-gallon tank. This 2.5-gallon tank is courtesy of my friend Brian, who decided to hand out fish for Halloween, and my kids got 3 goldfish, and they're just feeder fish. Once they've gone through a long quarantine period, they'll end up in the pond, but they are feeder fish, so I do question whether or not they're healthy or not. So for a month or so, they're going to hang out in that small tank, and they're pretty small fish, so I think that'll be okay for the time being. And then there's just a couple of empty tanks back there and some more supplies that I have. This is my Mbuna tank. You'll see a lot of plants coming out of the top. Almost every one of my tanks almost has at least a pothos stem coming out of the top of it. And I've done a video on these planters. I want to do a more in-depth video that'll be coming here soon. Below that is a 75-gallon kind of mixed tank with my Nicaraguan and my starry night cichlid that we have dubbed Vincent. My wife named him Vincent, him or her, I'm not sure, but whatever it is, its name is Vincent. And coming down here, we've got a stack of 3. There's a 29, a 20, and a 37 on the bottom, which I've done videos on all of these tanks. And over here, I've got my shrimp tank on the top, and my Bimaculata, my zebra car, is on the bottom. I would really like to replace both of these racks with 2 larger tanks and just kind of have large tanks out here. And my plan is to build something I'll show you guys in the future. So I still want to keep these tanks down here in the basement, but I have some other projects I'm working on just to increase the efficiency down here so I don't have to use so much electricity, which that is a good segue into this right here. I don't know if every fish keeper has a closet that looks like this, but this is what mine looks like. Just lots and lots of junk, food. There is a CO2 canister down there that is not currently hooked up or in use and is empty right now. I may hook that up in the future. Oh, I'm sorry, I bumped my microphone. I hope that wasn't too loud. I may hook it back up in the future if I want to do a more heavily planted aquarium, or if I just want to kind of increase the grow out rate of something that even if it's low tech plants. But for now, not hooked up. Lots of food, lots of gizmos, gadgets, tubes, and cleaning supplies. But what's interesting in here is I do have a linear piston air pump, and the PVC is running into the back room, and then it's also running into the ceiling here. And so all throughout the room, I have PVC up in the ceiling, and there are valves that come down from the ceiling. There's more stuff back there. I'm going to do a video on all that later. That's my DIY battery backup system. So that is what is powering all the pumps. You'll see the lines coming out of the ceiling. And I'll also probably talk soon about the heat that comes through the PVC. I've discovered that pipe actually stays at about 78 degrees and puts warm air into the tank. So I've started kind of testing. I can unplug some of my heaters and they don't seem to drop their temperature, which is really nice. This is a pothos stem. If you'll notice, it starts right there. It runs back through here, runs all the way along here. I don't even know how long that is. It's like 10 feet long. So anyway, really long pothos stem that runs here. And then you got another one right there that runs all the way down there. And then here, these have got to be like the biggest pothos leaves that I've ever seen. And they're made of entirely made of fish poop. So right here, this is directly at the bottom of my stairs. So I can sit on my bottom stairs and look at both of these tanks. This is my planted community tank. And this on the bottom is my Lake Foix community tank, which is not something that I think a lot of people have, so go ahead and check out that video, learn more about those fish. And then we get to my my saltwater tank. And I don't know if everybody else generates mountains and mountains of trash, but I'm really happy to finally have just a trash can, a dedicated trash can. But this is my saltwater tank right above it with my 2 clowns, and there's a goby in there who likes to hide a lot, and then some zoanthids and a mushroom coral, which are actually doing pretty good. This is a pretty cheap light, this fluval light. I say cheap. In the freshwater world, it's about normal cost. In the saltwater world, it's cheap. That's usually how it goes. But it's doing a good job with these zoanthids. They're growing pretty good. And honestly, this tank is solid. One day I'll show you how I do water changes, just mixing fresh and salt, and how I manage that. That kind of goes along with that backroom stuff. Like I said, lots of plants. I mean, these lilies are even flowering up here. This is my mostly Central American community tank. And of course, the minute I walk up here, everybody wants to hide. And then on the bottom is my Neolamprologus multifasciatus tank, which is probably one of the oldest running tanks down here in the basement. This setup, this stand, was one of my first down in the basement. And it has basically stayed in the same position. This was just kind of, I had an upstairs tank and a downstairs tank, and that's the way it was going to stay. Yeah, see how that turned out? And then eventually I started adding more tanks along this wall, and then it just took over the entire wall. And I have a small gap here of about 1 foot, and I'm hoping, not to mention that bottom, I built this stand differently to hold this 75. On those stands, I built them so that they could hold 2 4-foot tanks. This one wasn't built that way. So it only can hold the 3-foot on the bottom, although it does hold the 2 canisters, one for the salt water and one for the 75 on the bottom. So it's not a terrible setup. It's not a terrible waste of space, but I do have some ideas of how to utilize this extra foot of space over here. But it involves kind of changing this whole thing. And yeah, I'm super excited for that, but that'll be over the next few months, so stay tuned. And then over here, you've got my TV on the wall, and beneath the TV is my my living TV, or my entertainment when I don't want to watch whatever's on the TV. And this is just a kind of open water Lake Tanganyika tank, which you can see a video on I've got for you. And I don't think it's going to stay this way for forever. I would really like to add more to this tank. I think originally when I built it, I wanted it to be as open as possible, just to let these fish kind of swim wherever they wanted to and do whatever they wanted to with the substrate. But I threw that plant in there the other day because I did some trimming on my 75 planted tank, and it had like multiple rhizomes of Anubias. So I just tossed that one in here, and I have some more plants coming that I think I'm going to put in here just to kind of add more to it. But honestly, I still love looking at these guys. They are beautiful fish. So, and then the last 2 tanks are the biggest tanks, which are over here around the corner. This is my 210-gallon community Tanganyika tank, and below it is the 180-gallon Amazon tank, or South American tank, mostly Amazon. And it has a lot of wood in there, so a lot of tannins, kind of darker colored water. And yeah, both beautiful tanks. Check those videos out. And then my canister filters back in the corner. So anyway, that is the whole basement. I have some of these things that I touched on a little bit that I'm going to be making more videos and going in depth on in the future. But there is the wall that is fulfilling my wish list. And I hope you enjoyed that. And now that you can finally see what everything looks like down here, it is super fun to just sit here on this couch and just watch all of these tanks. But let me know if you have any questions about anything individually on any of these tanks. Like I said, try to see those videos if you do have any questions on stocking, and I go in depth into each one. But yeah, some changes coming in the future. Once I get around to finishing up a few other projects, I'm going to probably get some different tanks and move some things around. So super excited for all that. Thanks for watching. What's up everybody, my name is Jake and this is my channel Fishroom, and I'm excited to finally bring you a full fish room tour, including some massive changes that I've recently made, so let's go. Well, we've got 33 tanks to cover, totaling over 1,800 gallons of water, and all of them, from the display tanks up front to the grow out and quarantine tanks in the back, have some amazing fish, so you're not going to want to miss a single one. This is my 210-gallon Lake Tanganyikan tank. Lake Tanganyikans are some of my favorite cichlids. They have some interesting behaviors, shapes, and subtle colors that just give them so much beauty. They do take a long time to grow out though, so some of these I've had for quite a while and I'm still waiting for them to show their true colors. This Cyathopharynx foyer will one day be even more stunning than it is now. Acidodonus multipunctatus, my Autolamprologus compressiceps, my jumbo Cyprichromis leptosomas. These daffodil cichlids are so amazing. My Julidochromis regani and my Neolamprologus leilupi are just some of the amazing fish that are in this tank. Underneath my 210-gallon Lake Tanganyikan tank, I have a 180-gallon South American tank. This tank is home to some of my favorite cichlids, including some of my first cichlids. These koi angelfish are amazing. This Geophagus tapajos is actually my very first cichlid. I also have some juvenile Geophagus altifrons in this tank, as well as some electric blue acara that I bred and raised myself. I've got a group of silver dollars in here and some cories, some Julie cories. I have some Siamese algae eaters that are just helping clean up the place. There's also a blue-eyed lemon bristlenose pleco, an L397 tiger pleco, and an L190 pleco that are beautiful but unfortunately don't often make appearances. Underneath my TV is my 125-gallon open sand Lake Tanganyikan tank. Just another testament to how much I love Tanganyikans, I gave them another 6-foot tank. This tank is all open water, and all these fish are fish that love to live in open water. I've got some more Cyprichromis leptosoma that are still growing out. A really awesome rare fish called a Permaxillaris gnathochromis. Some Anantipus calisa that are amazing when they're fired up and in breeding mode. They are pretty amazing fish. These are some Calinochromis melanostigma rainbows and some Neolamprologus caudipunctatus. There are some shells in here that are Neothalma shells from Lake Tanganyika, and I'd like to add some more shell dwellers later, as well as a resident bristlenose pleco. This is my 125-gallon tank, which has homed all my big mean old fish. Probably one of my few tanks that does some continent mixing. This tank has my green terror cichlid, which is absolutely stunning. My Salvini cichlid, which tends to get picked on a little bit. I have 3 female Nicaraguans in here, and a male Nicaraguan, which is actually an offspring of one of them. My Severum, my Super Red Texas hybrid cichlid, my Starry Night cichlid, my Geophagus brasiliensis, the boss of this tank, my Jack Dempsey cichlid that never seems to grow, not sure why. I also have 3 Crebensis in here, 2 Synodonus eruptorus, and an awesome L14 sunshine pleco. Definitely lots of activity in this tank and a bunch of big bullies. My back room has my 110-gallon stock tank pond and 2 tanks on top with some interesting inhabitants. Above this tank, I have a group of long, thin, green zebra danios that are in quarantine and being prepared to add to the pond. A 20 long full of red cherry shrimp. I have some rice fish in the pond, as well as a couple more zebra danios, 3 calico shabunkin goldfish and 1 comet goldfish and 2 feeder fish that my kids won and are living their best lives and growing out in here. This pond was originally supposed to be outside as I was going to build a pond outside. However, a bear attacked it, and I realized that having a pond in my area was not realistic. So here it is in my basement. Probably one of my favorite tanks is my 120-gallon discus tank. I've made a lot of videos about this tank. Definitely one that I have been planning for a long time. Currently, it's kind of in a maturation phase where I just want these discus to grow out. And so this tank has nothing in it. It is bare bottom, although it is still stunning, and the discus are absolutely gorgeous and so colorful. But it has an automatic water change system on it and an automatic feeder and a lot of different things that are just make this set up for the growth of these fish, and I'm hoping to do some more things with it in the future. It's a very unique tank. It's a 120 tall, so I think there's some cool opportunities. I also have a UV sterilizer in there that just keeps this water absolutely pristine. And a common theme that you're going to see throughout many of my tanks, a blue-eyed lemon bristlenose resident pleco who hangs out and helps me clean up the place. Underneath my discus tank is my 75-gallon dark water South American tank. This is one of the most mesmerizing tanks to sit and watch, and I absolutely love the dark water feel of this. I have a school of 50 rummy-nosed tetras in here, as well as lots of plants and an albino bristlenose pleco. I also have a group of 7 F1 Pterophyllum scalare angelfish growing out in here that will get about 1 foot high. They're going to be amazing. I got them from my friend Eric over at amazoniafish.com. He's on Instagram and he has some amazing fish, and I absolutely love these little guys. They're so healthy and I can't wait to see them grow out. But overall, just a fun tank. Definitely one of my favorite fish is my flower horn in this 60-gallon tank. Like most people, before they get a flower horn, I was a little turned off to these guys and just thought they looked absolutely insane. But this King Comfa gold base flower horn has grown on me so much, and I absolutely love him. He's beautiful, he is interactive, he is fun to watch, and he loves his owners. Just an overall amazing fish I'd highly recommend. Below my flower horn is my 75-gallon planted community tank. Now one of my oldest established tanks in my basement. This tank has some awesome Bosemani rainbow fish in it, as well as some Congo tetras that are stunning, some Praecox rainbows that are still growing out, and some turquoise rainbows, as well as a few gouramis such as this gold gourami, this pearl gourami who's one of my oldest fish, and an angel that is absolutely amazing. All the plants in here are thriving and doing great. Overall, just an amazing tank and fun to watch. Underneath my planted community tank, I have a 60-gallon tank with a rare African fish in it. The fish in this tank come from a tiny lake in Africa called Lake Foix. There are 2 different kinds of fish in here, such as the Cyclopharynx schwetzi and the Thoracochromis barashi, or bloodthroat cichlids. The schwetzi have some amazing subtle colors. The bloodthroats, only one of them really shows color at any given time, such as this big male. But overall, just a fascinating fish to watch and an easy fish to breed. They are really fun. Now we're gonna head to Lake Malawi and check out my mbuna. I would call these assorted mbuna cichlids. I got them from someone locally and they didn't necessarily come labeled, but they seem to be a lot of red zebra mbuna, as well as some obs and some yellow labs. But definitely fun to watch and very colorful. However, they're very mean. I had a lot more when I started off, and they have thinned out their own population. They haven't killed any in a while, but they're definitely very aggressive. I have these planter pipes in the back that have some roots in them and some large plants that grow out of the top that keep this tank absolutely pristine and the nitrates very low. It's really fun to grow out the plants. There's also a Synodontis lucipinus on there that has been in there for quite a while. But overall, a very fun tank with lots of activity. One of my newest setups is this 75-gallon tank full of my peacocks. This is the most recent tank that I've set up. These peacocks came from Southeast Cichlids, and they are absolutely stunning. They were handpicked, each one. I will put the link to the video of setting up this tank that has the full list of all the different peacocks in here. There's too many for me to list, but they are so beautiful and so colorful. So far, they've done very well. I haven't noticed any issues with aggression. No fish are hiding, and they all seem to be getting along. I do think that I'm going to be adding some more to this tank, but I absolutely love the color and the open water and just watching these fish. They're so interactive and stunning. This 60 breeder on the floor is a planted tank with a whole bunch of beautiful, colorful barbs. This tank is probably my favorite overall aquascape. I had a really fun time setting it up. It has all barbs in it right now. It has long fin rosy barbs as well as gold barbs and Odessa barbs and cherry barbs, and just a beautiful tank. I recently lost the centerpiece fish to this tank, which was a paradise gourami. It was so beautiful, and I'm still kind of sad about that. So I think it needs a new centerpiece fish. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. But overall, just a beautiful tank and lots of activity and color. Next up is my 40-gallon community tank with an awesome dwarf cichlid in it. This tank has 3 different kinds of small fish in it. It has some cardinal tetras, as well as some white cloud minnows, and some ember tetras. But the centerpiece of this tank doesn't come out that much right now. Still getting used to its tank is the Vanacara bimaculata. This is a stunning dwarf cichlid that I am trying to breed, although I put them in here and I've not been focusing on breeding so much lately, but I do have some juveniles growing out in another tank. But overall, a very fun and beautiful aquascape with lots of plants. Can never go wrong with tons of plants. One of my favorite cichlids, this 40-gallon, is home to my shell dwellers. Although not a new fish for me to keep, this is in a new location. The Neolamprologus multifasciatus cichlid is a fascinating dwarf cichlid from Lake Tanganyika that digs these little pits and drops their shells in them that they breed in. I actually started this tank with 9 of these guys, and they have bred to who knows how many at this point. But they breed in communities. They don't eat each other's fry, although they do reach a point where they stop breeding, and once the tank is full and there's not enough food to go around. This 55-gallon is home to my Amazon puffers. I think Amazon puffers are the happiest fish. This tank is awesome. It is a planted tank. It has 2 different kinds of tetras in it, some Serpe tetras and some Bon Rio tetras, as well as some Siamese algae eaters that I put in there to save the day when the tank was overcome with blackbeard algae. But overall, such a fun fish to keep. There is a graveyard of shells on the bottom of the tank that is growing, but they do eat flakes and pellets and things like that. They eat pretty much everything, but I try to give them enough snails to be able to keep their beaks trimmed up. Now we're going to head back to Lake Tanganyika and check out my Tropheus. This tank is growing out my colony of red rainbow morai Tropheus, and it is absolutely stunning. There's also a Spathodus erythrodon goby cichlid from Lake Tanganyika that is a super fun fish to watch. very active and fun to watch them hop around the tank. Probably one of my favorite fish that I have, although not very colorful, just very fun, interactive fish. And these Tropheus are absolutely beautiful. I can't wait for them to grow out, and maybe one day I'll give them a bigger tank once they do. Next up is my only saltwater tank. This tank is proof that I still have a lot to learn when it comes to keeping fish, especially saltwater fish. Just a couple corals in here, a mushroom coral and a zoanthid, a couple clownfish, and a royal grama. And I am currently figuring out what to do with all this green hair algae, just battling that, but hopefully I'll get that squared away soon. Next to my 55 gallons, I have a stack of 10s with lots of different fish in it. This stack was originally meant to breed apistogrammas, however I didn't have much success there. I have some blue flame apistogrammas which were stunning, however I lost the male, which was really unfortunate, and I just have the female. There's some threadfin rainbows here that I'll probably grow out. I'm also growing out some juvenile electric blue acaras, as well as some apistogrammas that I did succeed in. I have my daughter's beta fish on this rack, as well as some juvenile Ivanacara bimaculata in the bottom tank. My next Fishroom project will be redoing all of these tanks. In the back room, I've got a bunch of different tanks that I mostly use for quarantine and breeding, but there's still some awesome fish in here. On the bottom of this rack, I have a tank of bluegrass guppies that I'm probably actually going to be rehoming soon. There's also a black ghost knife fish that's in quarantine that I'm super excited to add to one of my larger tanks once he gets a lot bigger. There's also some black licorice gouramis that I have in mind for a future project, as well as a few cories that I have growing out. I also have some stunning zebra acaras that I'm trying to breed, some more electric blue acaras that I have growing out, as well as a Geophagus wine milleri that is currently in quarantine. Also in quarantine are 3 albino threadfin acaras, as well as a tank with some more cyclopharynx schwetzi in it and some leilupi that are growing out. And the bottom tank is mostly empty except for a couple of blue-eyed lemon plecos. I hope you enjoyed that fish room tour. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Fishlist out. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Fishlist. My name is Jake, and today I've got something really special in store for you. I've got a full fish room tour. I haven't done this in quite a very long time, and I'm sure that many of you are excited to see all of the tanks. I just finished counting. I've got 115 different types of fish that I counted, over 30 tanks, and 2,200 gallons of water. So it's going to be really exciting. Stick around all the way to the end. I recently made a video talking about how I have decided to stop accepting any money for this channel, and all of the money is donated to Project Piaba. Currently, that's where I'll be sending all of the money that I make on YouTube. So the longer you stick around, the more you help. And be sure to like and subscribe and support the channel to be able to support this great cause. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before we begin going over each tank individually, I kind of want to show you what you're in for today. I have a lot of aquariums, and they are mostly display tanks, mostly not meant for breeding, just meant for showing off the fish and doing my best at aquascaping each one. Each one is a little bit different. I have fish from basically every continent except for Antarctica. Are there any fish in Antarctica? I don't know. I mean, obviously in the ocean there are. But anyway, so basically every continent of the world, everything from small tetras to rainbow fish to large cichlids. But we have this wall here. This is affectionately referred to as the full wall in my house. It's 25 feet long. It's stacked 3 high down there in some places. Most of it is 2 high except for here right underneath my TV, and then the saltwater tank here on the end. This stand right here is my 2 biggest aquariums, the 210 on top and the 180 that we'll go over here in a little bit. All of these tank stands I have built myself. I have tried really hard to hide filtration wherever possible so that it is just beautiful aquariums that I can walk through and look at. So there are filters tucked all over the place, which makes it a little bit difficult to manage sometimes. However, somehow I guess I do manage. So there are these the wall aquariums right here. I guess this can be considered the hallway. I don't know. That's bad, but whatever. We can call it that. We have the countertop over here with the cubes on it. And these two tanks here on the other end I wouldn't consider them display aquariums. They will be one day. I am currently using them mostly as quarantine space. We have this joke about this countertop that it used to always have junk on it. And we realized that if you put a fish tank in a spot, then the junk went away. So I guess that means I need another fish tank right there. My brand new acrylic aquarium, the light is off. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then in the back, my kind of messy back here, these are just kind of quarantine tanks, grow out tanks. They've been like breeding tanks in the past. I'll talk a little bit about those, but I won't spend too much time. And then keeping through the messy basement, in the very back, we have my pond, which I'll talk about as well. So let's get going on the tank by tank. First up, let's start with my largest aquarium, my 210-gallon, 6-foot Lake Tanganyika mixed community cichlid tank. There are so many stunning, beautiful cichlids in here that are just fascinating. One of the coolest part about Lake Tanganyika fish is their shapes and just how unique they are comparing to cichlids of any other part of the world. There are a number of beautiful cichlids in here, such as my daffodil cichlids, my Neolamprologus leilupi, my Synodontis multipunctatus, and my Synodontis lucipinus. Lucipinus are just a little bit smaller than the multipunctatus and a little bit darker. My Cyprichromis leptosoma, there's quite a few of them in here. My Julidochromis regani. The Altalamprologus compressiceps, the gold head variety, has some of them that are wild caught and some of them that are tank raised. My Neolamprologus fascicula, my Neolamprologus treticephalus, which are in there to help control the daffodil population, which they do a great job of. And there's a few Neolamprologus multipunctatus shell dwellers in there. I have a large tank full of them that you'll see later, and I thought I'd add a few in here to see how they did, but honestly they didn't do that great, so I didn't add any more in here, but there's still a few swimming around. But just overall a stunning aquarium. I originally started with 2 piles of rocks on either side of the tank, and then later moved it to one big pile, and I didn't like that either. But ever since I spread them out across the tank, the fish just kind of tend to hang out above the rocks. And so it kind of spread out the activity across the tank, and I noticed a huge improvement in the fish behavior and a lot less stress. They just all have a place to live and all have a place to hide. But overall, just a stunning aquarium that I'm very proud of, and I do not regret giving these guys my largest aquarium. Next up, we're going to slide down to my 180-gallon aquarium, which sits directly beneath this. This is a mixed cichlid tank from all over the world, lots of different kinds of cichlids and things that aren't cichlids that we're going to talk about, but just a stunning aquarium with the 3D background. I had a lot of problems with this tank recently, and I had to reset the whole thing, and I moved a bunch of my bigger cichlids in here, and I'm very happy with how it's turned out. But it has a super red Texas cichlid, which is a hybrid cichlid. It has a Salvini cichlid that we call Mad Eye Moody. Some of these fish have names. I'll let you know what they are as we go by. Some Synodontis eupterus, a handful of Nicaraguan cichlids. My biggest fish in the tank is my true parrot cichlid, whose name is Romeo. I have a Geophagus brasiliensis cichlid, which is one of my oldest cichlids, oldest fish, and his name is Snape. There's a starry night cichlid named Vincent. I'll let you work out why that is. A green terror or gold Psalm. His name is Jim. A handful of silver dollars in here. There's a red shoulder severum, whose name is Carl. Carl. Let me know if anybody knows where that's from. There's a bristlenose pleco who will not show up, except for at night. And a Jack Dempsey cichlid, who is one of the smallest fish in the tank. Let me know if these things are slow growers, because this is about as old as most of the other fish in the tank, but he's never gotten very big. This is one of the first aquariums that I've put fake plants in. I've always been one of those plant snobs that believes that they all have to be real, but in this aquarium, it is impossible. These guys would rip them to shreds in seconds. And so I decided to try some fake plants. Not anything fancy or expensive. I just got some regular fake plants from Hobby Lobby just to see how I'd like them. And I am happy to say that I actually really enjoy them. And I think they make the tank look great. Let me know what you think. But just a simple aquascape. This tank is all about the fish. And these fish are doing a lot better than the tank was in the past, the fish that were in there previously. I moved those guys and I'll show you where they are now. But just an overall stunning cichlid aquarium with tons of activity and plenty of personality and plenty of spunk from all of these fish. Next, we're going to slide over to my 75-gallon Blackwater aquarium here, which is just stunning and fun to look at. It has a very rare and hard to find dwarf cichlid in here. Very beautiful Ivanacara bimaculata, very peaceful dwarf cichlid, and I have about 11 of them in here. 2 parents, and the rest of them are offspring. Some of the other ones I have given away, or I have in another tank that I'll show you here in a little bit. There's also a decent-sized school of rummy-nosed tetras, some cardinal tetras. There's a zebra lace angelfish, and then there is a trio of Apistogramma cockatoides orange flash cichlid that I bred myself as well. I used to breed these a lot, and I stopped, and these are just the ones that are left. But this is a beautiful aquarium. I love the Blackwater look. Mostly comes from the wood that is in here that gives it that Blackwater tint. But it has been running for quite a while and is doing pretty darn good. Such a beautiful tank to look at. Up above my 75-gallon aquarium is this 5-foot, 120-gallon tall aquarium that is probably the centerpiece aquarium in my entire fish room, just because it houses some of my favorite fish and my dream fish that I wanted to keep for a very long time. Not an amazing aquascape, just a simple root structure that I found that I think is just what this tank needs, and I love it the way it is, despite its simplicity. It has my F1 Altum Angels in here, as well as my Discus. It is visual Xanax. It is such a relaxing tank to sit and look at. Turn off all the other tanks and lights in the fish room and sit here and look at this, and it will calm you down so much. Next time I buy Discus, though, I do want to be a little pickier about the Discus that I get. I want to pick and choose the size and which ones that I get, because I grew these ones out as an assortment, and they didn't all do so great. Some of them did just fine. These ones that are in here are growing and pretty healthy, but I just kind of want to be a little bit pickier the next time that I buy Discus, but it just means that I get to get some more in the future, so stay tuned for that. Next, we're going to slide over to my 125-gallon aquarium, which has a ton of different fish in it, but it's mostly a rainbow fish aquarium. There are quite a few different kinds of rainbow fish in here, including the Kalitawa, the Melanitania parva, the Melanitania bozemanni. The largest of the rainbows is a millennial rainbow. There's some turquoise rainbows and Skull Creek rainbows. There's also some live bearers, such as some swordtails, some red tuxedo platies. There's some roseline sharks. There's a few different types of tetras, such as the Von Rio tetras, some ember tetras. My favorite is the Serpe tetras. There's also some white cloud mountain minnows. There's a few Siamese algae eaters that help clean up the place. And then just one single Dalmatian molly. I used to have a few more, but just one right now. And one pearl gourami that didn't have a place to go as well. But overall, just a stunning aquarium. It's a dirted tank. There's a layer of dirt underneath the sand cap that helps these plants grow. And they're all mostly simple plants, crypts and Amazon swords, plants that don't need a lot of light and don't need CO2. But overall, one of my favorite aquariums. It sits right underneath my TV, so I can choose whether or not to look at the aquarium or look at the TV. And I'm going to let you guess which one I look at more. It's the aquarium. All right, on to the next one. Now it's time to get a little salty, and we're going to slide up to this 40-gallon saltwater aquarium that proves that I'm a lot better at freshwater than saltwater, because I have grown a lot of green hair algae in here. But there's some stunning fish in here, as well as one stunning coral. There's a royal gramma, some green chromis, a yellow watchman goby, and of course some clownfish. But this tank has not been set up for very long, so I'm hoping that the longer that it runs, the better it'll get established, and maybe this hair algae problem will be solved. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do something about it. But still, one of my favorite aquariums to look at. Now we're going to start heading down the wall to one of my aquariums that has not been set up for very long. This is a 17-gallon aquarium. It's kind of a low-tech setup with a sand cap and some nutrient-rich substrate below that, but there's only 3 different kinds of fish in here, and I'm falling in love with all 3 of them. There are some stunning lemon tetras. There are some black coolie loaches and some pygmy cories that only really come out when there is food in there, and I didn't get a chance to catch them on film. But the plants are going in pretty well. There is some green hair algae growing on this moss, but overall I don't think it looks too bad, and I love the crypts. and I'm slowly trimming and replanting the plants in the back to just kind of try to fill in that back layer. But everything in here is pretty low tech, and there's no CO2 in here, but I think it is filling in nicely, and it is beautiful, and it proves that I can love everything from a cichlid to a tetra. I'm going to move up to the top of this rack to this 60 breeder here. This is one of the most beautiful cichlids in the world. This is a Vieja Argentea, Mascajeros Argenteus, silver cichlid, so many different names. I just call it beautiful. We just call it Mike. Such a beautiful fish. I'm not sure if it's male or female yet. For now, it lives alone in this tank, and I think I'm going to keep it alone possibly forever, just because I would really love to have it as just a show-off centerpiece fish, just all by itself. Let it get to its full color and full glory. I don't know if it'll be in this 60 breeder for forever, but we'll see how big it gets. For now, one of my favorite wet pets. Just such a sweet, peaceful fish. Down below Mike is my 75-gallon West African community tank, featuring such stunning cichlids as my Turkana jewel cichlids. There are also some leopard tenopoma in here. My number one favorite tetra, the Congo tetras. The males are absolutely stunning. And there are some yellow Synodontis that hide out in the rocks, and I rarely see them and often think that they don't exist anymore until they pop out and show me that they're still there. But this is just a stunning aquarium, very low-tech aquarium, low-tech plants, dim light, but it certainly doesn't diminish the beauty of these fish, and I love seeing them in this not exactly biotope, but beautiful community setting. Next up on our journey, we're going to take a look at this 60-gallon aquarium. This has a single species in it called the Cyclopharynx schwetzi. This fish is native to a specific region of the Congo. It's the only place in the world that they're found. It's in an area called Lake Foix, or the River Foix. It's really about a 9-mile section of river. It's a spring that runs into another river, where the water chemistry in the spring is different than the river that it runs into. And so it's the only place where these fish live and breed, and that you can find them in the world. But I think they're a very beautiful fish, just subtle coloration in their fins, a little bit of red with the light body. And I really enjoy watching this tank. Now we're going to slide over to another 60 breeder, which, if you haven't noticed by now, is one of my favorite sized aquariums, and I think highly underrated. This tank is so full of color and activity, and it is mostly barbs. The only thing that is not a barb in this tank is my giant Danios. Other than that, there are Odessa barbs, cherry barbs, gold barbs, banded barbs, and longfin rosy barbs. It's almost impossible to capture any one fish by itself because they are just constantly moving, but you'll have to take my word for it. All of those fish are in here. I love this tank. I enjoy the aquascape. It's just a very simple setup with just some crypts and some nice rocks. There's a little bit of algae in there. I've been trying to tweak the lights to try to get that under control, but all in all, just a fun tank to sit in front of that you could never fall asleep watching. I have a sad story to tell about this next aquarium. It is a 110-gallon aquarium, home to my Cyathopharynx foyer, which is a Lake Tanganyika featherfin cichlid. I had a group of 7 fish in here with a dominant male and a subdominant male and a bunch of females, and I was hoping to see them in full breeding color. It's actually the mascot, or at least it's on the logo for my channel. And the other day, I came up to the tank right before I made this video, and they had all murdered each other except for one male. There was a beat-up male, and all the females were hiding all over the tank and looked pale and terrible, and within a day they all died, and I lost everything, and I'm really upset about that. But it is what it is, and I guess I'll just look at it as an opportunity, because now I have a basically empty 110-gallon aquarium, so I'll figure something else out to do with that. In the meantime, I got to figure out what to do with this lone male. So not a great story. Right before I made this video, I remarked that everything was perfect and ready for my video, and these guys must have heard me and decided to turn on the carnage. So sad day, unfortunately, in the fish room when that happened. And that's enough of that depressing story. Let's head up to my peacock tank, my Lake Malawi cichlids. This is a unique tank, one of the few that I don't have painted because I have it as a peninsula where I can walk around and see the fish from both sides, which I really love doing because these fish are endlessly active and very beautiful fish. Another unique thing about it is that I have an acrylic box that I built and siliconed inside the tank so that I could put lots of different plants to be able to help maintain the nitrate balance. I also have a light that runs on top of the light holder for the top of the tank in order to help bring some light to those plants so that I can help them grow, and I'm hoping that this grows in and covers the whole tank in time and also helps me lower my nitrates for the tank. I'm not very good at knowing the difference between all the different kinds and strains of peacocks, so I don't know exactly every single kind that I have. I know quite a few of them are hybrids, but I do know that I have some beautiful fish in there, such as a deep water hap, a venustus, a lemon jake, a red empress, and a handful of OBs, and like I said, other hybrids. But it is a beautiful and stunning aquarium to look at, and one of my favorites to keep. It is one that I have resisted doing for a very long time, and I have no idea why I didn't do it sooner, because I love these fish. I don't think the aggression is as bad as I expected it to be, although not perfect, and I'll show you later that I do have a tank set aside for any fish that get beat up in here so that I can let them heal and then add them back in when it is safe to do so. But definitely one of my favorite aquariums. I'd highly recommend an African cichlid tank. It is fun and always a point that everybody stops. Anybody that comes to my house and visits, they always stop at this tank and love it and stare at it for the longest time. Next up, we've got another 125-gallon aquarium. This one is sort of in its infancy right now. It has a lot of different kinds of fish in it that will get much bigger, and I plan on moving around as they do so. There is a beautiful gold severum, a vieja sinspilum, a royal acara, 2 of them. There's a handful of electric blue acaras. There's an L397 tiger pleco and an L190 royal pleco, a Cincelichthys bacordi, 1 zebra acara, some orange fin hill trout that circle the top of the tank endlessly, and a Geophagus steindacari. This is another aquarium where I decided to put some fake plants in it because these fish would not let real ones survive, and I actually really enjoy the look of it. Overall, not the most stunning aquascape that I have, but definitely some stunning fish, and they are going to get even more stunning as they grow. Above that, there is a 40 breeder that has not filled in as nicely as I would like it to, and I think I may reset this tank in the future. Right now, it is holding my Amazon puffers and some black emperor tetras, and they seem to live well together. These Amazon puffers were never meant to be in here. They were meant to be somewhere else, but it didn't work out, and now they're in here. They seem to be doing just fine. I may keep them in here long term, but I'm having trouble growing plants in this tank for some reason. I don't know if it's the lighting or something about the substrate, but it's one that I would like to reset in the future because it hasn't been realized in the way that I would like it to have been. Next, we're going to slide over to another 40 breeder here. These are my Neolamprologus multifasciatus, or shell dwellers, or multis. This is such a fun fish to watch, the world's smallest cichlid, and they live in these shells. They breed like crazy. They filled this tank up all by themselves. I started with 9 of them, and now it's full. I know this is a common fish for people to keep, but there's a reason for that. They're fun to watch, they're fun to keep, and they're pretty easy to breed. So I would highly recommend having them, even if you think that they're overrated. I think they are perfectly rated. They are a fun, fascinating fish. Next, we're going to move to another 125-gallon aquarium that hasn't yet fully realized its potential, that has South American cichlids in it. It has cupid cichlids, some Geophagus sveni that are very small and growing out, some Satanaperca jurapari, also still small, a few more electric blue acaras, got those everywhere. There's some F1 Pterophyllum sclare angelfish. There's a blue phantom pleco. There's an L230 spiny pleco that rarely comes out except at night. A chocolate cichlid, and some festivum cichlids. Overall, I'm hoping that this tank changes in the future. I'm not exactly sure which fish will end up in here. I might move the fish to other aquariums. Not entirely sure. Still waiting for this wood to be weighed down before I can kind of complete the aquascape to be exactly what I want it to be. But these fish are stunning and beautiful, and when it grows into its own, it's just going to be amazing, and I can't wait for that day. But sometimes that's the beauty of fish keeping, is that it's the patience and the waiting that makes it worth it. Below that, I've got another 75-gallon aquarium that is a Tanganyikan community tank that I'm planning on changing up here soon, but it does have some stunning fish in it, such as a Nathochromis permaxillaris, which is kind of like a Tanganyikan earth eater. It's really cool how it sucks food off of the sand. There's a few Cyprichromis in here that I'm currently in the process of trying to catch to move them to my 210-gallon, which is not an easy task. And then there's some Lepidolamprologus attenuatus, which is just a fun name to say that rolls off the tongue. But I think I might use this aquarium as part of my solution to my foyer, possibly put my foyer in here and another fish that I'll show you later in the video. Pretty simple setup, just a pile of rocks, which is basically all a Tanganyikan fish needs, but still a stunning fish that I love sitting and watching. Very fascinating and not a very easy one to find. Now we're going to move up to the countertop here. The first one that we're going to look at is my 14-gallon cube aquarium. I have two Ivanacara bimaculata in here. I'm kind of hoping to use it as a breeding setup just to keep a pair in here and hopefully get some more. I actually realized while I was taking B-roll for this that I had two females in here, so that ain't going to work and got to switch that up. But hopefully there'll be some more Ivanacara bimaculata babies in the future. Moving on down the line, we have another 6-gallon cube. This is a high-tech planted tank with CO2. It has some Rotala rotundifolia, another fun word to say, and a big cardinal plant, and a little bit of green hair algae growing. Still trying to get this tank in balance. There's some sword chains down below, but I do enjoy this aquarium. The fish in here, there's some CPDs, very easy to keep, and there's no heater in here, which I always enjoy. And just to hang on the back filter to help keep this tank as clean as possible for these fish and for the plants, but it's mostly about the plants. I do love this little cube. I do find that these cubes are a little bit harder to maintain than the larger aquariums, and they need more frequent water changes and more maintenance, but the Rotala rotundifolia is starting to turn red, which is really nice, and I'm hoping it continues on that direction. Next up is a 4-gallon cube. This is another blackwater aquarium with tons of floating red root floaters on the top, which is cool. It makes it like this dark little world that you can peer into. It has quite a few snails in there, but there are 2 fish in there. There are some licorice gouramis. Not a lot of filtration. They're air breathers and they seem to do okay with this setup, but overall just a fun fish to sit in front of this dark water aquarium and try to find, which is kind of hard to do sometimes, but it's just fun to peer into there and see what you can see. Now we've got a 2-gallon cube here, home to my Caridina black crystal shrimp. Pretty simple setup, not ideal for these guys. A larger aquarium would give them more stable water parameters. However, they are breeding and happy, so I'm not questioning it. They look great and it's a fun little tank to watch. The owner of this next aquarium is a topic of debate in my home. This is my daughter's betta fish, but it's my aquarium because I take care of the betta fish and I do a better job at it. So, Sarah, if you're watching, booyah. This is just a 6-gallon cube. It's a planted aquarium. It does have CO2 in it, but it also has a lot of floating plants and not a lot of the light reaches down below. But it has very little algae and it's grown in quite nicely. It's one of my favorite tanks to sit and watch. Plus, who doesn't love a beautiful, stunningly colorful betta fish? Or betta fish. You know, betta, potato, potato. Get over it. Not much to see on this next rack. I have 2 20-gallon aquariums. I'm planning to one day aquascape them and make them beautiful, but for now, they're just kind of quarantine tanks. I have some yo-yo loaches in here that I plan to leave in here for a little while until they get bigger, unless I can find a safe place to put them. And the aquarium up above is empty, but waiting for some beautiful fish that should be here in about a week. Can't wait. Now we finally come to one of my newest and most special aquariums. This is my 150-gallon acrylic aquarium. It's my only acrylic aquarium. The reason why the light was off before is because I have the light on very little on this aquarium because I'm so scared of scratching it. I'm sure as you watch this video, you've noticed that a lot of my other aquariums have scratches, and I'm determined to not let the acrylic aquarium get scratched. I know you're all thinking it's useless, just give up. But I am trying not to let algae grow in this tank, so the light is on very little during the day. But I do love it when it is on because the fish in here are absolutely stunning. It is all my South American cichlids that used to be in my 180-gallon aquarium where I had a lot of problems, and they are much happier and much healthier in here. I have my Waru cichlids that I recently added to this aquarium. I have my Geophagus pyrocephalus, or Tapajos, depending on who you ask or when you ask them. They are my oldest cichlid and probably my favorite. Some large electric blue acaras. I have some Geophagus altifrons that are growing out. One Geophagus wine milleri. I have some beautiful wild-caught Pterophyllum sclerae angels. And then a few Julicories. But I love this aquascape. I so far have loved almost everything about this aquarium, other than the fact that since I took the fish off the darker substrate, their colors have changed a little bit, and I preferred the colors that they had before, but they certainly have not lost any beauty in my opinion. Just a very fun aquarium to watch, and a crystal clear acrylic view. So awesome. Now we move on to a 75-gallon aquarium that sits under here that holds probably my rarest fish that I own. This is a species of rainbow fish that has not been described or named yet. It is simply called Callimaisu species. I got these as eggs in an auction. They came from Gary Lang, but almost nobody has these, and you certainly can't find them online, and you wouldn't even be able to Google them if they were online. But they are absolutely stunning, and I'm so happy to have them. They have this beautiful purple color that is just very subtle but very pretty. I've seen some pictures of the adults, and I don't remember them looking as purple, but I just feel like every day I see them, they look a little bit different and a little bit more beautiful. I am very lucky to have these and very excited. And no, I know it's a crime, but I have not really tried to breed them too much yet. I probably will in the future. I probably should, at least for the sake of spreading them around in the hobby, and I'm sure other people would be very happy to have them. So one day I will stop being selfish and breed some of these beautiful dang fish. Right to the side of this stand, you'll notice that there's kind of an empty space here. I don't really like seeing filters, so I will tell you that in the future there's going to be an aquarium here. But let's head back into the back here. These are not the prettiest tanks, but there are some cool things here. I have this tank, which is kind of a holding tank for fish that got beat up in my peacock tank. Right now it has a black widow frontosa in it that I think I might stick into that 75-gallon Tanganyikan aquarium, at least long enough for him to grow out so he doesn't get picked on, but I'd like him to be with the Tanganyikans. There's also a Nagara flametail in here that got beat up. He was the complete tank boss of that other tank, and I don't know why they beat him up. And then I've just got an OB that was almost close to death that I pulled out of there, and he's starting to color back up, so I'll try to add him in later. But below that, there's kind of a cool story, kind of a from the ashes type of a story. I've mentioned a few times the problems with my 180-gallon, and I had 7 of these koi angels and a red devil, and I lost almost all of them except for these 2. Well, it turns out these 2 were a mated pair, and I stuck them back in this 40 breeder, and they laid eggs, and now I might have 100 koi red devils. So I'm really excited about that. It feels good that I'm going to get a lot of my angels back, especially since I lost all of them. But let's head back to the pond here. So this is an interesting story. This pond was originally meant to be outside. It was outside for quite a while until one day a bear, I live in the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, and a bear decided to come along and take a bath in the pond and munch on a few of the goldfish. So now the pond is in my basement, but there are 3 shabunkin goldfish in here that are very large and very beautiful and very messy. They poop a lot. And there are also a few other fish that are not going to be very easy to see in here, but I have some Xenoteca dadroi goodeids in here as well. I had them in a 20 long, and I was trying to breed them, and I was successful. I would get babies, but it felt like that every time I got babies, the adults would die, and then I would wait for the babies to grow up to have babies, and then the adults would die, and so the cycle continued. And I decided, you know what, let's just throw them in my pond and see what happens, because I used to have rice fish in the pond, and the goldfish never ate them.
And I've noticed babies in the pond, and I see the adults too. So we'll see if they form a nice, healthy, robust population. But overall, I really love this pond. I kind of like it in my basement, and I love these goldfish. I've debated multiple times about putting the goldfish in an aquarium so that I could see them a little better. But I just love goldfish viewed from above. I just think that's kind of the way they're meant to be viewed. But overall, a stunning little pond, and some monstera there and some pothos that help keep this thing stable. And there's also a DIY filter that filters this that I think I'm going to make a video on specifically, because it's been running for a while and I've had people ask about DIY filters in the past and whether they're worth it. So it's a topic worth exploring. For my last aquarium, we're going to move out of the basement and into my kitchen, where I have a 75-gallon aquarium set up with a King Compa gold base flower horn. This fish is not only stunning and beautiful, but our family's favorite wet pet. There's a reason why we decided to put it right in the middle of the kitchen. He spends 99.9% of his life in this top corner of the tank. I'm pretty sure if this was a 20-gallon aquarium that was this long, he'd be just fine with it, other than, all the poop. But he's a very fun fish, very interactive, always begging for food. If you lift the lid, you gotta watch your fingers, because I swear he's gonna take a pound of flesh off me one day, because he will jump up and bite anything he can get his mouth on. Such a fun fish. I never thought that I would keep a flower horn. I always thought they looked so dumb, but now that I've kept one, I totally get it. I've made quite a few videos talking about this guy, because he is just full of personality and full of fun, and I highly recommend a flower horn if you have never kept one. Go get one now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that fish room tour. It was a lot of fun showing you all the tanks. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Fishlist out.